So how do we set goals? This is often something that's talked about frequently in the coaching business and in any personal development situation. So I would say that the most important thing when we're talking about personal development is looking at really what it is you want, because we can't set a goal unless we're really clear on what it is we want and why we want it. So in this video, I'm going to talk about setting future casting goals based on what you want to become. And then we create the goals from that. So what is future casting? Future casting is picturing what you truly want in the future. And that requires us to become visionaries. We have to become Michelangelo of our own dreams. Because often what happens is people think they want something and they're committed to it, and maybe it isn't truly what they want, but it's what their mother or their father or their friend or what they think they should want. So we have to get to the true underlying reason, what it is they want and why do they want it. So that requires some deep delving in. Sometimes we will jump to the SMART goal, a great system getting to a SMART goal. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. But when we're really thinking about what we want and writing down those goals and creating those milestones, the most important thing is to dream. The most important thing is to journal. The most important thing is to really know who you are and how you want to define who you are and how you're going to take those and move those into your magnificent future. So oftentimes people will say, well, I want to get out of debt, or I want to find the relationship of my dreams. And they'll put that in there and they'll create a vision board, and nothing ever happens. But the studies have shown, interestingly enough, that vision boards oftentimes don't work. Why is that? You would think they'd be a wonderful tool, because what happens is when we look at the neuroscience, you see your beautiful new car and your perfect sunset and your relationship on the board, and you're like, oh, there it is, there's my dream. And you get the dopamine hit, and then you're like, all right, cool, I've lived my dream. And you lose the dopamine on a concept of a dream without taking action to live it. True story. This is neuroscience at its finest. So we have to look at what we want and how we want it and why we want it. And I have a really great thing that I often reference. I read this article years ago, and it was when my children were teenagers. And it says, ask your teenagers what pisses you off. And I laughed. I was like, oh, I know what pisses me off. And I'm laughing. I was 30 something. And that's a great question. So if you're thinking about that question, what is it that pisses you off? Or what really fires you up? Why do you think that that's important? Because we cannot set a goal and live into our why unless it comes from a heart-centered place. It comes from a place of, I want to change something. I am drawn to something. It's not enough to say, yeah, I want to fit into that, cute outfit, at my reunion, or I want to get revenge by losing this weight so I can look this way, or I'm going to make this amount of money to make them regret that they ever left me, right? That's an external motivation. Truly, what's most important is we must look at the intrinsic motivation. What is inside motivation that's going to get you going and keep you going? So we look at this word motivation. Well, what is motivation? Motivation is what's going to get us going, but it's not going to keep us going. We have to fuel it. We have to fuel it with action, and we have to fuel it with a choice, that we've made a choice to improve our lives for the better. So just back to future casting, 2 questions that you can write down and answer these questions. When you're looking at enriching your life, what do you need to take on right now to have a more fulfilling and meaningful life? Enrichment. Write that word down. It is such a great word. What are those actions that you are prepared to start today to live a more meaningful and significant life? That's enrichment. The second word, here it is excellence. Why excellence? Because excellence is the name of the game. So what is it that you need to start doing today to live a more excellent life? What does that word mean to you? And then write down a list. You may say, oh, I don't know, I've just wrote down 2 things. Oftentimes, the best answers, the most honest answers are going to come 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? When you get to 10, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, that's it. And you may have never uncovered it if you didn't write it down. Journaling, studies have shown, this is effective as therapy. Journaling is what high performers do. 85% of all high performers journal. Be in that 85%, your life will change. Okay, so once we've established this future casting vision of who we are and what we want and why we want it. And we've created this concept around excellence and enrichment that is part of our becoming who we want to be at our highest and best. Who are you in your highest and best? And from there, we can set very explicit goals on what you want. And I use a wonderful assessment that you could take, and you look at these numbers and you say, from 1 to 10, where am I in my health? From 1 to 10, where am I in my finances, my relationships, my spiritual connections, my hobbies, all of these things, we can rate them from 1 to 10. And what I'll do with my clients is where they have the lowest numbers is where we set a goal. And the first thing we have to do when we set a goal is create some daily habits in order to accelerate that number. So this is a great way to set your goals. And then when we look at SMART, we hear this all the time, setting SMART goals. We hear it all the time in media. But really, ultimately, a SMART goal is not worth anything unless you looked at your what and your why, you future cast it into what's important for you. You understand what either pisses you off or something that you're willing to fight for love, for love. That is your why. And the most important thing you could journal is that. And then we can move on to the SMART goals, was we have to make sure it's measurable, that we have to make sure that it's in a framework of time that's effective and efficient, and we have to make sure it's in a timely manner. Time frame is key and it's important. But coaching is an outcome-based business, and the most important thing that I could tell you is get someone that's going to hold you accountable to live within your greatness. Get someone accountable that you can put that dream into the space, write it down, and then say it out loud, because that social communication was going to help you A game. I know what I want to say in closing is remember this. We hear this expression, you are who you are, the 5 people who are around you. You know that expression. But what I'd like to add a twist to that is you are the 5 people that are potentially around you. Who are those people that you want around you that are going to help you in-game your life to live in your highest and best? Who are those people? Begin there and lean in to your greatness, because you deserve it, because you have greatness within you.